first of all, I was going to say it's my maiden name for one.
Oh, cool.
Not Mitzi, but Michael.
That's awesome.
And I really don't know.
Well, Mitzi was your cat.
You remember that?
That's awesome.
I love that cat.
Aw.
So it's a combination of her cat, which she loved, and her last name. And that's how we came up with that concept.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you came up with
Well,
that.
if it wasn't for the cat, your
I would have never thought of that.
That's awesome.
So,
Aw.
and your character is sort of based on Domino a little bit.
Okay.
And we're going to be asking some questions to you about what do you feel about your character, what kind of direction that it may go into,
Okay.
and if at one point you could speak in the character.
Okay.
Okay, just give it a shot.
All right.
Okay. And if you could sleep her. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Be very delicate with this. I'm heavy-handed.
Okay, a little closer, right there is good. And stand by. Go. Okay. Nikiya, how are you today?
I am excellent.
That's good. Why are you here today?
I'm here to do an audition and screen test for the role of Mitzi Michael for the film ONYX.
Okay, great. And what do you think of the character? What are your thoughts on the character itself?
I was interested in this character because she's the leading female role, so she's kind of tough, and I picture her to be attractive, but not overly aware that she's attractive, and not bothered by the fact that she's attractive, but I think she tries to play it off like she's a lot tougher than she would come across if you didn't hear her speak. She's rough, and she loves action and movies with guns and fighting, and but at heart she's a really nice person, and she really cares about her friends and her relationships and the people in her life.
Do you feel that the character of Mitzi McMichael has any issues as far as in her past or in her present?
She does, but I think she tries to focus on the positive aspect of things. She is faced with a couple of levels of choosing between right and wrong and defining those things. Sometimes what she feels is right and what might be right on the surface are very, very different. But I think she has a very solid grasp on what her personal perspective is. And while she takes her job very seriously, she never betrays her personal judgment, which I think is really admirable.
You're describing my personality.
Now, how does Detective McMichael feel about her partner, Joanne?
At first in the script I didn't think it was entirely clear at the beginning, but as the movie progresses, you see that she really has a deep and profound respect for him. And she loves her job, and she really, in spite of the fact that her partner is facing some really difficult challenges and issues, she really respects him, and more so she cares about him as a person, which is a lot of where her kind of inner turmoil comes in, because she's maybe not supposed to, but she really does. I think he's almost a very strong, like, father type character for her.
So what's the deal between you and Joe? I mean, you guys have been partners not that long. He's sort of impulsive, but he has issues. How do you deal with that? What's going on with that?
She's a little bit of an enabler. She does, to some degree, I guess, put up with his quirks in his character, probably more than most people would, but she really understands where he's coming from because he's been through a lot. I think she somewhat struggles with that in and of itself, that relationship. So she kind of just takes a back seat and lets him be who and what he is, and kind of reverts back to the fact that she has decided that he's a good person, and whatever it is that he's doing, although it may not look good on the surface, in the end she trusts that he's making the right judgment call.
Now, a question for Nikiya Palombi. How do you feel handling firearms? Are you good at that, or is that something that you can do or can't do?
I can definitely do that.
Great. And a question for Mitzi McMichael now. Where do you see yourself as a detective? Or how do you see yourself as a detective?
You want me to answer this in character?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's difficult, especially in this city, as anyone would tell you, being a female cop. Especially maybe a little bit of an attractive female cop. I mean, nobody likes to admit that someone gets treated differently, but you do. I mean, everybody judges you based on your character. It just kind of happens. But I think I've gained the respect of all of my coworkers. It's taken a while, but I think I have secured my position as a respected female cop, and it's a difficult thing to do.
Now, I'm going to create a scenario for you as Detective McMichael.
Okay.
Detective McMichael, there's a report that just came across my desk that you were involved in this situation where there was unnecessary roughness. Can you tell me what happened?
Well, it's really difficult to take any scenario and put it down on paper. There are, at any given interchange, at least two perspectives. So to write it down from a perspective, looking at it without any human connection, is kind of difficult to do. Out of line, I mean, unnecessary, those are vague terms. And it's really difficult to judge a situation unless you're there. I think that we're all trained to deal with things the way we should. And we wouldn't have our badges if we didn't do just that.
Okay, good. Do you have a monologue prepared?
I do have a monologue.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay.
And stand by. Cue.
What's it like? It's like you turn around and you're all grown up. That one bit of news and you become this insta-adult. He never deserved what happened to him. He didn't sleep around and he never did drugs. The only thing he might have done was to be a hemophiliac, and clearly that wasn't his fault. It's just, he had such a bright future, I mean, he was a shining star on the stage. He could take any character and really bring it to life. It was as if he actually became the person saying those words. I mean, he even got into Juilliard, and they only take the best of the best, right? He was the best. He had the most beautiful hands, too. Some people have a thing for eyes. I guess I like hands. Remember, we used to go out on a clear night. There was a field by my house, and we'd go and lay and just look at the stars. He'd hold me close, his hands running through my hair, touching my cheek. Sounds so stupid now, but we used to try to count stars. And they go on forever, right? So we decided that we would too. Right. Anyway, we found out when he went in for his before-college physical. I remember he was wearing the navy blue cable knit sweater I'd gotten him for his 16th birthday. They said it was tainted blood he'd been given as a child during one of his bleeding episodes. He told me, and I started to cry. He was the one sick, and I'm the one sobbing hysterically, and he's comforting me. He was always so strong from the outsider's perspective. He was scared, though. He told me once. Only once. Anyway, he was better after that. He was healthy and active, though not at Juilliard, of course. And then one day, he had another bleeding episode. They rushed into the hospital, and he broke down when he had to tell the technician to double up on her gloves because he had AIDS. He didn't get better after that. He was in the hospital for 6 months. 3 days after his 20th birthday, he died. And I nearly died with him. It wasn't until recently that I could even look at the stars without completely breaking down. It was like that bright star in my life had been slowly fading and finally burned out. I just keep telling myself one day I'll turn around and he'll be there again, beside me. Someday. Thank you.
That was awesome.
That was really,
Thanks.
really good.
I love that monologue.
What is that from?
It's not from anything. It's a competition monologue. It was written by a girl for I guess they have monologue competitions. And I found it online and I just oh, I loved it. So.
Yeah.
But I have to say something.
Go, say.
Like,
Did you cry?
well, I kind of felt like really her personality, this character,
Mhm.
Nikiya McMichael, is like so me.
Yeah.
Because when I'm talking, I'm always doing with my hands and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking at myself through this character.
Oh, that's awesome.
What you just did in your monologue, that's what I'm looking for, the sensitivity, and also the strength there too.
Yeah.
There's hope, but there's also despair.
Mm.
You know, and that's what I want the Nikiya McMichael character to be. And I think you nailed it.
Oh
Cool.
my God.
In
Awesome.
in mannerisms and also looks.
Yeah.
You know, you look the part, you sound the part, with that, so you're gonna know how to put the gun together.
Awesome. Oh, that is so cool.
There's a lot of this.
Okay.
There's a lot of that. And then there's a lot of,
Awesome.
just not crazy fancy gunslinging stuff, but, something that's gonna be, reflective